It's Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. Before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone to please give a like and subscribe down below if you enjoy this content. We greatly appreciate it. We have Paige Krygger coming to us all the way from Australia. You might recognize that we have another Australian on the show earlier, and this is our second Australian that we're very, very glad to have on the show. And as you can notice, she looks a little bit different from everyone else that we've had on the show. She has a little bit of a tan on. She's getting ready for competition. And Paige, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, as you mentioned, I've just got my tan, so my last show of the season's on tomorrow, so I'm feeling excited, a little bit tired, a little bit hungry, that's for sure. But yeah, thanks so much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely, more than happy to. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what got you started into health and fitness? What was the inspiration behind it?
So I guess as a kid, I grew up playing a lot of sport, a lot of team sport, and I guess moving towards the end of high school, I'd started to put on a bit of weight, and I sort of I wasn't healthy, and the pressure of year 12 and exams, I wanted to focus on that, and I didn't focus very much on myself, and now looking back, I think that I could have done so much better in school if I had have actually focused a little bit more on my nutrition and actually spending the time in terms of training. And so once I finished school, I decided, look, I want to live a healthier lifestyle. I'm just not healthy at the moment. And so I started going to the gym. I really started getting into classes. And then I guess that's when the bug got caught. I started doing boxing, and then to the point where I just started overtraining. Like, I would just go to the gym. I was your cardio bunny. I would do absolutely everything. I'd go running, and I hate running, and everything was sore every time I did anything. And then after that, I started researching a little bit more. I did like Kayla Itson's, and I started the plyometric type training, and then I found Sophie Gouldelin, and she is actually a bikini competitor as well, and at the time I was like, I really like her physique, and then she was promoting a lot of weight training, and so that's how I sort of started moving into the training side of things, and then started actually understanding nutrition as well. And now here I am. I'm doing my second season of bikini competing, and yeah, really liking it.
Did you find that your body responded really easily to working out, or was it sort of more of a challenge?
When you say working out, do you mean weight training, or do you just mean?
Well, yeah, anything, yeah.
I guess when I started, I think I always had a picture in my mind of like what health and fitness look like, and I always thought that just jumping on a cardio machine would get you the body of your dreams. And as so many people always reiterate, you actually by doing cardio, you're only expending energy. You're not actually building muscle to create a toned physique. And so by doing the cardio, I was finding that I wasn't actually losing much weight. I was just starting to look a bit skinny fat. And so then doing boxing, and I used to do body pump, which is like a weight classes that you can do here. And then doing Kayla Itson's, and I guess starting to incorporate plyometric type training with weight training, and then that's when I really started to see changes in my physique. And by moving a little bit less away from the plyometric style of training and more into the weight training, I've actually noticed huge changes in my physique, even in just the last year.
At what point in your journey did you realize, hey, I could actually do a show, I could actually compete? Was it people sort of mentioning to you like, hey, you should compete, or was that something when you started that you maybe thought you would be interested in doing?
So I think it was actually Sophie Gouldelin. She's Australian, as I mentioned before, and her physique was always something that I just aspired to. No one that I knew did any bikini competitions. I had no idea about it at all. It wasn't until I started, I started following people on Instagram that I was sort of like, oh, this is actually a thing. Like, I just thought that, crazy people did it pretty much. It was like, if you want to put yourself out there in a bikini for people to judge you, you're crazy pretty much. And none of my friends did it. I sort of looked at her and I was like, I really want a new challenge. I want something that's out of my comfort zone and something that I can, just have a goal set towards. And so that's basically how I got into it, following her and realizing, oh, okay, no, so to do that you need to sort of lift weights and I think it was just a challenge. I didn't realize at the time how actually difficult it really is.
Yeah. And one of the big things that I think most people don't understand when they're getting into it is that when you're training for shows or when you're building on muscle and putting on weight, you're going to need to eat a lot more than you even ate before you adapted that healthy lifestyle. Did you find that to be a challenge?
Oh, that was probably one of the most difficult parts, especially I guess I come from a background of under eating, and so I really struggled with the idea of eating more to lose weight or eating more to look better. I always just, it was, for me, it was you don't eat anything, you just do as much cardio as possible, and that's when you'll have the body of your dreams. And by switching my mindset, and even now I really struggle, like coming into my last show, I'm obviously going to be moving into off season, and so it's really mentally difficult for me to actually start to eat more in order to gain muscle and start to look better as well. But I know deep down that it's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely a challenge.
Now we're gonna discuss the elephant in the room that I kind of talked about in the beginning. You have the tan on right now, but what was the first time you ever put on the tan and you saw everything really pop out? Like most people say that they see muscles that they never knew they'd seen before or never knew they had. What was that first experience like for you when you put the tan on?
Well, after the initial shock of, oh my God, my face, what is going on? It's so cool. It's so cool to have, like, your muscles look so different. Like, you think that you are lean when you're, just your normal complexion, and then you put it on and you can actually see your abs popping. I can see, like, obliques and the striations in my shoulders as well. It's just, I don't know, it's really cool.
Do you sometimes, is it bad when you have it on though? Are you like not able to sit on stuff? Are you not able to touch things? Is that one of the fears?
Yes, yeah. Very much so. Especially going to the toilet. So yeah, you never realize actually when, like, how much tan can come off, and because you're going on a stage and you're doing your back pose in front of a whole heap of people, you need to make sure that your tan is perfect. So going to the toilet the day that you get, so I've got about 4 coats on right now. I will, obviously have to go to the toilet on and off today. I'll have a shower tomorrow morning, and then I get my last top coat, it's sort of like the shining coat that you put on beforehand. And basically, once you have that, you really can't go to the toilet, because if you sit down on a toilet bowl, a little bit of your tan's going to come off, and you do not want anybody on stage seeing like a little bit of a ring. So embarrassing. Yeah.
So like you said before, I mean, you thought originally that like you would never want to see yourself up there on a stage in front of people. Was that really hard to convince yourself first off? I mean, first of all, it takes a lot of courage to do that, first of all. I think if you took like a general survey of everyone, you probably have like less than like 10% would be willing to do that. But did it take a lot of courage to you, or did you kind of say to yourself, like, I worked my tail off for these results and I really just want to show them off? What was that like for you?
So I guess as a teenager, I really struggled with body image, and I really struggled with wearing a bikini, even just on the beach. And so I was really nervous. I was so nervous about other people seeing, you know, I have a lot of I had a lot of body dysmorphia of like, you know, oh, like I don't like that little bit on my body here and I don't like that. And switching the mindset of I've worked so hard to achieve this physique. I've dieted for my first prep last year. It was over 30 weeks of dieting to get, I lost about 15 kilos to get on stage. And so it was just that moment of being like, you know, I looked the best that I've ever looked in my life. Standing out there and letting people judge me. Look, I'm just proud to be on this stage and to know that I've given absolutely everything that I can. I've counted every single macro to the gram, and I could not have done anything more. And it was just a really satisfying moment to be like, you know, okay, no, embrace this. You've worked your ass off for it and you deserve it. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely difficult mentally, but I'm sort of just like, you know, you worked for it. You deserve it.
Absolutely. So what was your first prep like? I mean, was it a huge shock to your system? And how has your prep sort of differed from that first one?
This prep, I have a different coach to my last one. My last one was very different in the sense of my starting point. Mm-hmm. So my starting point, I was a lot heavier. So I started about 80 kilos and I dropped down to 66.6 at my lowest. I put my body through a lot. I was doing HIIT cardio. I was doing cardio sessions. I was training 5 days a week, weight training, and then my calories got down to about 1,000 in the end, which was really difficult. And I never came from a very high starting point. So I think that now looking back, I wish that I had have raised it with my previous coach earlier, that we sort of started and we were already dieting. I sort of never really had a diet break. I never had a refeed day of more than one in a week. And looking back on it now, I'm sort of like, I think that we should have had more time where I was having higher refeeds or was having more diet breaks. And it's only now understanding a bit more about nutrition that I do see that would have added value to my last prep, especially mentally, because by the end of prep, I was so over it. I just wanted it to be done because I was just sick of dieting. And then this prep, I've had diet breaks, I've had refeeds. Some days is 3 days of the week. Some days it's only 1 or 2. But my coach is very mindful of trying to incorporate more higher carb days to allow my body to recover. And I've only ever had step counts. I haven't had HIIT cardio sessions or designated cardio sessions, which has been really helpful. So then, you know, I can kind of ensure that I'm getting my step count throughout the day, but it's not like a designated 1 hour. And then, my weight training on top of that. And not to say that the diet hasn't been difficult. It's been very difficult as well. I still had to get down to, you know, around 1,000 calories at my lowest. But this time in my off season, I sort of only got up to about 70 kilos. So at the moment, I'm just under 60, which is, you know, it's not healthy for my size. I'm about 6 feet tall. So being as light as what I am, I know it's not healthy, but that's what I need to do for the stage. So in terms of my starting point, it was a lot better, and I built a lot more muscle as well in my off season. So
I'm 6'2" myself, so I kind of understand the tall person struggles. Was it hard for you to put on muscle? Because for us tall people, it can generally just be harder. What was your experience like with that?
It definitely actually was very difficult and is very difficult. I think it's also because we've got such long limbs, you actually can't see the muscle development, even if it is there. I've definitely grown a lot in my shoulders and in my glutes, and that's what I got feedback on from my last show. that I did 2 weeks ago. But yeah, again, it's that constant battle, and I know that. So I did a prep last year, I did a prep this year. I'm sort of like, I want to take a really long time off, and I want to build a really strong and decent amount of muscle mass before I even think about stepping on stage again. Because, yeah, as you mentioned, we've got such long limbs, like, to be able to actually create the muscular development, it takes time and it takes food, which I haven't had very much of.
Well, speaking of food, I love to ask. I asked my other Australian guests this, and I'll ask you. Maybe we can see if your explanations are similar. But one thing that people in America or people just that aren't in Australia would really like to know of, because we've never had it before. Could you describe what Vegemite is?
Vegemite. Vegemite is very bitter. It's I don't know how you explain it. It's just salt. It's basically just salt, and it's got it. Yeah, it's delicious. You put it on some toast with some cheese, and you put it in the grill, and that's amazing. You put it on crumpets. I put it on rice cakes. It gives you a really good pump. So you know how people talk about the pickle pump? Pickle pump when you just have like a pickle. It's like that. You just have some Vegemite on some rice cakes and you're good to go.
I've always wanted to try it. Yeah, it's one of those things because Australians always just praise it and say how good it is. So I've always wanted to do that personally. But just to kind of blow people's minds here, why don't you tell us right now what time it is and what date it is right now where you are?
It is currently the 22nd of September, and it's 12 noon.
Now, everyone, it is 9 o'clock where I am, and it is September 21st. So we are officially doing some sort of time travel thing. I don't know what it is. We're talking on different dates. Can you tell me what the stock market says right now for September 22nd? Because I'd really like to know that information.
Oh, I'd really like to know that information. I'm not very savvy with the stock market, unfortunately.
So have you found it difficult sometimes with the people that you follow, or I mean, since American culture does kind of take over a lot of different countries, have you found it weird knowing that you are on such a different time zone from other places?
It is, and it's really difficult when there's really cool sales, like American. So Alpha Elite, for example, they always do their sales when it's like midnight our time. I have some friends that will wake up for the Alpha Elite sale so that they can still get the stock, because by the time we wake up, all the stock's out.
So going back to your shows, what is that feeling like for you when you're on stage in front of everyone? You get to show off what you've worked so hard for. People are cheering. I have a lot of up-and-coming musicians on, and I like to ask them sort of like what it's like performing live. And I feel that's kind of the same question for people that do competitions. But what is that feeling like for you being on stage?
It's such an adrenaline rush. The time that you're backstage and time's going so slowly, and then you step out on stage, you're shaking with nerves, but also so excited just to be able to go out there. And then your adrenaline is like, you want to slow down, but because of the moment, you just like, I try and slow myself down because I can just rush through everything. But you really want to be, I guess, a little bit poised and slow and just embrace the moment. But you are on and you're like totally not even there. It's like you're a cloud. And then once you step off the stage and you're like, oh my God, I just did it. I did it. It's awesome.
Absolutely. I can't imagine. But when it comes to posing, how hard was that for you to sort of practice your posing and get it down pat? Did it come natural for you, or was it a lot of hard work?
Oh, it's a lot of hard work. I am not a very good poser. I think that the best people that do these competitions and have the best poses used to be dancers.
Yep.
And being tall, I never have really gotten into the dancing thing. And so I've really struggled with posing. It's something that has taken a lot of time, and it's something that you can never perfect. You can't perfect your posing. You can always do better. So I'm always trying to improve my posing. I'm always practicing, and then also just tweaking it all the time and getting feedback from other people. Like, what do you think of this? Do you think that accentuates this muscle more, or do you think that I should maybe switch it up a bit? And it's about sort of going out of out of your comfort zone and out of the boundaries in which people give, because each pose looks different on a different person, so you want to find the one that works best for you.
Absolutely. And when it comes down to your presentation, especially being a tall person, how do you manage with those heels? Is that really difficult for you?
Oh, so difficult. I don't wear heels because I don't need to.
Oh, yeah?
Like, but on stage,
Oh, yeah.
you have to wear heels. But in everyday life, I don't wear heels. And so I actually have had to just walk around the house in heels. I sometimes do meal prep in my heels just to get practice of walking in them, because sometimes my feet get numb being in the heels because I'm just not used to them. But yeah, it's definitely something that you have to practice.
Do you feel that we have had some tall competitors on here? Like, I had one who was a bodybuilder who was 6'2", and she was female, and she weighed I think it was 200 pounds in her competition, and apparently she lived 10 minutes away from me. I had no idea. But being tall, do you feel that sometimes distracts judges away from your overall presentation?
I think so. I think that it depends on who's there on the day. Like, so for us, there's a lot of height categories, so I'll actually be up against people that are a little bit taller. But if I was up against somebody that was a lot shorter, I guess their muscles are able to look a bit fuller because they're not as long, whereas mine are long, so it's really difficult to actually show, So when I'm flexing my quad muscle doesn't look as strong as somebody else that had a shorter quad, because their muscle is, I guess, a little bit thicker because mine's a lot longer. So although we may have the same kilo of muscle, it's very difficult to be compared against somebody that's, say, 3 feet shorter than me, when I can't compare to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you planning on eating after this final show?
Oh, I'm planning on eating all of the food. I cannot wait. But I'm pretty sure my friend's making me like a cookie with Nutella in the cookie, and some Oreos. And I don't even know. I've just said, can you just make me the most amazing cookie cake you ever have, and I'll eat it, I promise. And then we're going out for dinner for pizza, wood fire pizza.
Oh, that's awesome. So
and
one of the big
questions. Next day to eat as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I love to talk about that hasn't really been talked about so much, but people don't realize when you're doing these shows on show days, you look so great, but it's because you've manipulated your body through the dieting, through all of the working out, and it's not a sustainable image that you can have. I mean, you're not going to keep that weight up, like you said. It's going to last maybe a few days afterwards, and then you're going to slowly start to gain more weight. How do you deal with that mentally, knowing that when you are doing these competitions, you're basically going to you're never going to look that good for longer than a couple of days? How do you deal with that, knowing that you will end up putting on weight too?
I think that everybody deals with it differently, and for me, I think knowing that this is not sustainable and accepting that it's not sustainable is something that's really big for me. And I find it easier to move in and out of preps due to the fact that I am very rigid in my dieting ways, but also that I understand that putting on weight is normal, and that putting on weight, I need to do so in order to be healthy. And I think that it's when you have other things outside of competing, it makes that transition a lot easier. But in saying that, I've always been somebody that wants to diet, that undereats, that overtrains, that it is really difficult for me. In the sense of I don't struggle with binge eating, but I struggle with under eating. So when I go out to eat, I'm thinking about what the calories are, and moving away from that is really difficult for me. So moving into my off season, I know that I need to gain weight, but I won't be gaining weight at a really quick rate because of the fact that I have an under eating background. So it's basically my coach pushing me to be like, okay, we need to keep putting on weight. You need to start going out to eat, or you need to keep eating more. And it's okay, coach, I'll do what you say, and just following the plan I'm supposed to. So as he increases my calories, I just continue to hit those calories because I'm somebody that's very structured, and I need that. I guess I need those boundaries, and I need to be told what to do to actually put on weight. So I'll be putting on weight at a sustainable rate, and I know that I will because of the fact that I basically always just follow the plan and do what I'm told instead of going off track. I've never really struggled with the whole putting on weight in a really quick period of time, such as binge eating.
One of the things that I found out when I personally started working out and putting on a little bit of muscle and getting bigger is that one of the unfortunate things is that people are going to ask you to help them move furniture. They're going to help you ask it, hey, can you open a pickle jar for me? I can't do that. Have you had similar experiences, and how do you deal with that?
I've just had people asking me for, oh, can you write me up a meal plan, or can you write me up a training program? And it's sort of like, oh, I can't really, because I can, I've started to educate myself in nutrition, but that doesn't mean that I'm the expert, and it doesn't mean that I'm a coach. So I think that, in terms of, it's nice when people ask me to move furniture and open pickle jars, especially when my partner asks me to. That's really nice.
So now we mentioned that now all the guys here are going to say, oh no, she's in a relationship. Oh God. But now but now I'm a huge romantic sucker. So I'm going to ask the next few questions. So first off, how did you and your partner meet?
We actually met in high school. We didn't go to the same high school, but I was 15 and he was 16. And we just met through some mutual friends at a party.
What was your guys' first date?
I actually stood him up on our first date. He took me to he wanted to take me to a milkshake place, and I was about an hour and a half late. And who would have thought? We've been together for about, I think it's like nearly 8 years now.
Wow. That's awesome. So what has he thought about this when you started doing the more health and fitness lifestyle? Has he been very supportive of it?
Yeah, he's been super supportive. Like to the point of I'll come home and I'm exhausted, and he'll measure out all my food to the gram and cook me dinner. And it's been, there is absolutely no way that I could have done it without him, because those days in which you're like, okay, I just want to give up, he's like, come on, you've worked so hard for so long, you've only got however many weeks left, and then we'll go out and we'll celebrate, and we'll just start to put on weight together. Yeah. So
one of the things this will be the first time I ask this question, because I like to save a couple new questions for every podcast, but prep brain, when people talk about like the last few weeks of prep, when their brain is just, they're not thinking clearly, they're not thinking straight because of all the depletion that they're kind of doing. Could you kind of explain to our audience what that's like? Because I just find that fascinating, what that would kind of feel like.
It sort of feels like you're in flight mode. So, when you're existing, but that's all you're doing. Yeah. And you are like, oh, there was something that I was supposed to do yesterday, and you just can't remember it. It's like everything becomes erased in your brain, and then you have to. So I'm such a list maker, especially during prep, because I already have a bad memory. But I'll be talking to somebody, and I'll be talking to them, and then I'll think about something, and then I'll just stop. And then I'm like, what was I talking about? Because I'm thinking about something else. You can only, especially when you're this dieted, you can only really think about one thing or be engaged in one thing, and then you have to move on to the next thing. If you're trying to think about too many things at once, you just can't. You're just in flight mode.
Yep. Absolutely. And now we go to the audience favorite part of the podcast, the little questionnaire that we like to do. I'll ask you about a dozen questions and get your answers, and we'll see how they differ. So for the first question, what is your go-to workout song at the moment?
Oh my God. Go-to workout song. I do, I like a lot of Australian rock bands. So I don't know if you've ever heard of Cold Chisel, but K-San is a really good one.
Yeah. Oh, what was your favorite song of theirs? Oh, no, it's the Sizzle, and the song is K-San. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if you could work out with any celebrity on the planet, who would it be?
The Rock.
Yes. I gotta say, you're like the 21st health and fitness guest I think that we had on. I think 17 of them have said The Rock. So yeah, he's by far the most popular answer. Now, thirdly, if you could train any celebrity on the planet, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. Demi Lovato.
Yeah.
I'd really like to train Demi Lovato. Do some boxing with her. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Hey, would you take the face mask off thing though? You wouldn't be wearing the face protection though. Some actual boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is one item that you always need to have in your fridge?
I always need to have egg whites.
Egg whites. Yep. What is one thing that you find funny that most other people don't?
Oh my god, that's a really good question. Oh my gosh. Prep brain.
Hey, no worries at all.
At all.
No worries at all.
Oh gosh.
We can move on and you can answer at the end. That's fine.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. So now taking something that you there's no way. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, favorite flavor of ice cream. I really like hazelnut, like Ferrero Rocher ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Or just a choc mint. I'm happy with that too.
Chocolate chip cookie dough is my favorite. You get me a chocolate chip cookie dough and it's so good.
Yeah.
What was the last TV show that you binge watched?
Suits.
Suits? Is that a famous Australian TV show or?
No, that's American.
Oh, I was gonna.
Meghan Markle.
Oh, I was gonna say because the last Australian that we had on said Suits too, so I was like, oh, maybe that's something in the water. But what is your favorite TV show of all time?
Either The OC or One Tree Hill. I can't. I binge watched both of them, but I'm probably gonna have to say The OC.
The OC.
That's an OG.
Yeah, that's a good one. Definitely growing up, that was one of the formative TV shows that I watched. But what is one item that you would die to have if it went up for auction?
That ring that was in the Titanic.
Yes. Mhm.
You know that I think it's a ruby ring.
Or no, the necklace you mean?
It's an emerald. It's an emerald ring. It's gorgeous.
Oh, the actual ring or the one from the movie?
The one from the movie.
Oh, you mean the necklace?
Yes.
Yeah,
the
blue necklace. Yeah. No, honestly, yeah, that was one of the things. And thank you for actually. A lot of people get really stumped by that one. So you were the first one to actually answer that one really quickly. So I'm surprised. I'm actually real. And being on Prep Brain, that's even better. I'm super impressed. But what is your favorite fashion trend of all time and least favorite fashion trend of all time?
Favorite fashion trend is double denim.
Mm-hmm.
I love double denim. And my least favorite is velvet. I hate velvet. Velvet tracksuit pants. My mum made me wear them as a kid, and not a fan. Yeah.
And this is a question that I always like to follow it up with. When it comes to having muscle and getting bigger, that society doesn't really, especially for women, doesn't really have clothes that they're naturally made for them. Has that been a struggle for you, finding clothes that fit and finding clothes that are able to complement you? And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's even more so because of how tall and long I am. Mm-hmm. That's where I find the difficulty in clothing because I'm very straight up and down. Mm-hmm. So finding clothes that suit me is very difficult, and I don't actually. I still haven't perfected it. Yeah. I think that you either know how to dress your body or you don't, and I'm still struggling with it. And I think that, I've found that high-waisted jeans, they suit me pretty well, but there's also, there's types of jeans such as boyfriend jeans that I'd really like to wear, but they just don't suit me. So it's about, I guess, trying to find alternatives to what you see on others and trying to tailor them to you, but at the same time realizing that, okay, not everything's always going to suit me, and that's okay too.
Absolutely. It's all about just knowing your limits and just, maintaining that. And also, like I always say, for the audience out there, if there's one person out there that knows of a way to make apparel for fit women, that is a multi-million-dollar idea, so get on it right now. It's guaranteed to make you a lot of money. But going on now in our questionnaire, what is one thing that people who follow you on Instagram would be surprised to find out about you if they met you in person?
A lot of people say about the tall thing.
Yeah.
They are shocked at how tall I am. But also, I guess, just how positive that I am. And that when they meet me, they just want to keep talking because they feel positive and motivated by the things that I'm talking about. Just because I want to help people be better and realize their full potential. And yeah, I guess that I try and be lighthearted, and there's so many things in the world that you could get down about, but there's always a positive out of every negative. So
if you were a teacher, what would be the subject that you were teaching?
My partner's actually a teacher,
Oh.
so there you go. I would probably be teaching something around music because I used to sing a lot. So I think that's probably something if I was to be a teacher. That or maths, because I really like maths too.
Yep. So what is one thing about Australia that you think that people who aren't from there don't quite understand about Australia?
Everybody thinks that kangaroos are in our backyard, and they're not. But in saying that they think that there's snakes everywhere and that you're just going to die from getting bitten by a spider, and that's not really the case.
I do have to ask, have you ever seen kangaroos fighting in public though?
Yeah. Where I live, there is we live really close to where all the kangaroos and all that kind of stuff are. And yes, I've seen them fighting many times before.
Some of those videos on YouTube are some of the greatest things ever. I love watching those. So one of the final questions that I like to ask on the questionnaire part is, what is one thing about the fitness industry or the fitness lifestyle that you would change if you had the power to?
If I had the power to, I would be I really find it frustrating, the idea of clean eating, and when people talk about healthy eating. And I think coming from a background of under-eating and demonizing foods and trying pretty much every dieting strategy that's out there, I just want people to realize that they can eat good food and I guess a variety of different foods, most of them being whole foods, obviously, your apple, like your fruits and vegetables and meats and things like that, but also that if you want to have a treat, you can, and so many people demonize that, and I just wish that people realize that if they want to lose weight, all they need to do is just eat a little bit less, and that it's okay to maintain your weight, and that you don't always have to be losing weight, and that weight training is the best way, I guess, to be able to build up that foundation of muscle mass so that then when you do lose weight, you look different and then you can maintain it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that I also like to point out too is that when it comes to the whole losing weight and maintaining weight, how do you find that to be an equal balance? Like, how are you able to, with this lifestyle and with other things that you have in life, how do you find a healthy balance? Are there some tricks that you use?
A healthy balance in terms of my training and my nutrition?
Or in terms of like the fitness lifestyle and sort of like your normal lifestyle? How are you able to find a way to like maintain a balance between the two?
I think it's really difficult to find that balance, if I'm honest, and I don't think that I've perfected it yet, and I think that it's always something that you can grow and learn with, but I think that picking the times in which you want to be a little bit more strict and then picking the times when you can be a little bit more flexible. So I always prepare my food for the week because I work I make sure that I meal prep enough that I take my lunch and I take my snacks to work. I come home and I'll have my dinner, and it's basically generally the same thing. And then on the weekends, I'll be a little bit more flexible. So I won't necessarily have my weekend meals planned out. And if I want to go out for dinner with a friend on a Saturday night, for example, just during the day, I'll eat a little bit less and, make sure I'm having a little bit more protein earlier on in the day so that when I do go out for dinner, I can, not be so... I can, I don't have to just pick a salad on the menu. I can sort of just eat what I feel like. I haven't done that in a very long time just due to prep, but I'm hoping to, when I'm moving out of prep, that I can find that balance again and I can find the flexibility to start incorporating different foods and actually enjoying foods with friends on the weekends. But obviously, during the week, still being very balanced in what I'm eating and having that meal prep and that, I guess, creating those meal plans for during the week, it makes it a lot easier to be balanced on the weekends.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you could talk to the 18-year-old version of yourself, what would be the best piece of advice that you would give her?
Just stop demonizing yourself so much.
Mm-hmm.
Although, and by killing yourself on the treadmill every single day, you're not actually doing anything for your mental and physical well-being. Just go in there and start lifting weights and start eating good food instead of just not eating and going on the treadmill and killing yourself every day. I just think that I didn't have a good outlook on life. I wasn't positive about myself or anything that I was doing with my life, and that, there's more to life than just losing weight all the time. And that's definitely something that I'm taking forward going through my 20s, that, life's for living and you don't know how long you're going to be here for. So enjoy it and stop putting yourself down so much.
Yeah. Who is your favorite Australian celebrity?
Oh, favorite. I really liked Heath Ledger.
Oh, yeah.
So that's sad.
Mm-hmm.
But, I really like Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
She's great.
Can I be honest and say that you sound very similar to Nicole Kidman? I got that Nicole Kidman vibe when I first heard you talk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I gotta say my favorite's got to be Margot Robbie. Just right now at the moment. After I saw some of her movies. Oh, yeah, after I saw some of her. And I just find it so fascinating, too, that Australia, for being such kind of a smaller country when it comes to, population, has, in Hollywood, they have so many famous actors and so many famous, movie stars. What do you think that really comes down to? Is there just a strong culture in Australia for the arts?
There's not really, and I really don't know where it's come from. A lot of people, they move over to America to live the dream, and I think that they move over there relatively early, because a lot of our soap dramas and we've got Home and Away and Neighbours and those kinds of shows. They're not really that successful compared to when you watch an American TV show. I feel like the actors are a lot better anyway, in my opinion. So I don't know where it's come from. I think it's the laid back attitude and the attitude of, you just got to keep grinding to get where you want to be, and we really create that energy here, and so people are willing to, I guess, go the extra mile by moving over there and just giving it everything that they can. Yeah.
So we have a few questions here before we wrap it up, but I like to ask all of my guests, what is one thing that you would like to have people on the outside who don't follow the bodybuilding or fitness lifestyle to understand that you think is not represented as well as it should be?
The idea of flexible dieting, that you can have, if you're eating in a calorie deficit, you will be losing weight. If you're eating in a calorie surplus, you'll be gaining weight. I think that if people, we've got all of these diets out there, like I was mentioning before, you've got Weight Watchers, you've got the Atkins diet, you've got the keto diet, you've got all these diets. If people just realize that you know, if you understand calorie balance and you understand calorie control, that you can actually lose weight in a maintainable way. And I wish that, you know, especially for me, the reverse dieting approach, I really like that. I really like that you diet and then you don't just stop, that you then slowly try and increase your calories. I think that if people in just society actually understood that and implemented that, dieting would be so much more successful. It's just that people are consistently going, oh, I need to lose weight. They'll just then, like, you know, only eat, like, you know, rice, broccoli, and chicken because that's what they feel like they need to do. And then once they've reached that weight, because they've lost, you know, a whole heap of weight in a really quick period of time, and then they go back to eating how they were eating before, if they had just like slowly increased the amount of food that they were eating, they could actually probably maintain that look or that weight that they've created. And I just find that, you know, every single diet out there, it's like you go on Weight Watchers and then you go off Weight Watchers and you just eat whatever you want. Whereas if people just understood that a little bit more, and I always forget that people don't understand that, like, I guess living in the bodybuilding world a little bit, that, you know, it's a privilege of knowing all this information about nutrition now and calories and how to manipulate your calories in order to achieve your body composition. So that's definitely something that I wish people just in normal society understood.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing when you're obviously promoting the bodybuilding lifestyle? What is one thing that you think really needs to be? No, hang on 1 second. I messed up that, so I'll just edit that out. It happens to me every once in a while. I just get a little messed up. So I'll ask you a few more questions and then we'll do the wrap up. But so now in 3, 2, 1. So when you're living this lifestyle and doing all of these things, how do you sort of deal with the fact that you won't be able to go out, like you said, sometimes with friends you'll be able to go out, but you won't be able to eat the same stuff that they're eating, you won't be able to do some of the same things that you're doing. How do you deal with that mentally? Do you just sort of tell yourself that, hey, I'm working towards a great big goal and it's all going to be worth it in the end?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I have to do, but it's something that I really struggle with, and I'm struggling with at the moment. Just that I have to have good people around me that understand what's going on, so that then it makes those moments, like, you know, after prep, it makes those moments even that much better because I'm able to go out and enjoy food with people, and they appreciate that as well. Because, you know, at the moment, you know, we go out for breakfast and I don't have anything because basically I need to make sure that I know exactly what's in everything. And it's about having supportive people around you understand that and accept it. Not necessarily that they have to support it, but that they understand and that they're like, okay, well, soon we'll be able to do this again. And that's all that you can really do.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree more. So how long are you going to plan on taking off before you go to your next shows after this final one?
I'm planning on having quite a decent amount of time off, to be honest. As we were talking about before, you know, having longer limbs and, you know, needing to build a lot of muscle, I'm planning on taking like at least 2 to 3, potentially 4 years off.
Oh, wow.
Just to have that time to actually, you know, repair my relationship with food, because when you diet, it always gets a little bit screwed up. You know, take that time to start to, you know, increase my weight, but increase it in a maintainable way, and then start to be able to socialize normally, then just gain muscle and get stronger. I really just want to start to deadlift more, and I want to bench more, and just, you know, build up that strength, and instead of being so volume focused, be a little bit more strength focused. So definitely planning on taking quite a number of years off.
And lastly, one of the big questions that I like to ask, especially people that do train clients, is that time is one of people's basic excuses when it comes to not adapting a more healthy lifestyle. You work a regular job, I work a regular job, and then I do this, and then you also do training on the side. How are you able to maintain that time-wise, and what advice would you have for people who say that, you know, I can't start working out, or I can't start eating healthier, it's too much of a time commitment?
I think that people just need to make time. You make time for, you know, they say that, like, how much do you value health? Like, are you healthy? Are you wanting to be healthy? Because if you're wanting to be healthy and live a longer life, well then, you need to take the time to do so. I spend about maybe 2 hours on a weekend meal prepping my food for the week. I spend an hour in the gym, and it's my time. I wake up a little bit earlier to make sure that I can get there to just get it done, because I know that I'm going to have so much more energy to focus on everything else that I want to do throughout the day. I think that it's, how much do you prioritize, you go and you're happy to go shopping for an hour. So then why wouldn't you invest in your health for another hour? I think that people need to invest more into wanting to live longer, and by wanting to do so, you need to be healthy in order to do that.
Absolutely. And you kind of you brought up one last question that I like to talk about. Sleep is a huge, huge thing when it comes to nutrition and even bodybuilding and repairing and regaining muscle. What is your current sleep schedule like, and what are some ways that you like to use in order to use, because sleep is the best thing that you can do for recovery. What is that experience, or what is your sleep schedule like currently?
So I wake up at 4:45 every morning to go to the gym, because I work in the city and it takes me about an hour commute to get there. So I wake up at 4:45, but I'm asleep at the moment, because I'm so exhausted from prep, I'm asleep by about 8, but generally I'm asleep by 9 p.m. Because when you think about it, you come home, because I train in the morning, I'm so productive. I get up at 4:45, I train, come home, have a shower, then head into work, and then I'm at work at 8. I'm then able to leave work at about 4:30. I've got the rest of the night to do whatever I want to do. But sitting on the couch, to me, it's not really that enjoyable, so I'm happy to go to bed a little bit earlier. And then on the weekend, I will then sleep in a little bit. I try and make sure I have 8 hours every night to, as you were saying, the rest and recovery for your muscles. But then on the weekend, I'll go to sleep and I'll sleep in a little bit more, and I won't set an alarm, which I think that by then increasing the amount of sleep that I have at night, I'm then able to continue to get that rest and recovery that we need.
And lastly, what are some other things that you like to do besides bodybuilding? Like on your days off, or when like you said, when you get home, what are some hobbies and activities that you also enjoy?
Other activities that I enjoy. I really like going to the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really like going and doing activities outside. So I really like hiking. I really like mini golf, 10-pin bowling, all those kinds of fun things just that you can do with friends. And then I'm a real foodie, so I really like going out for dinner. I really like going out for breakfast, and then hanging out with friends.
Now to end the podcast, for our last question officially, what would you think is some of the big stereotypes that Australians have against Americans? And don't worry, I can handle it. I don't really have anything negative to say about Americans. Because I've never been to America, I don't really know that many American people. But sometimes people do say that they're a little bit like arrogant, like you sort of live in your American shell, and that America's the best. And that to me personally, it's like the whole world's amazing. Mm-hmm. Every single country, there's so much to see, so much to do. I am very much a big believer in traveling the world, and I find that recently, not recently necessarily, but a lot of times I've noticed that Americans will travel around America and not necessarily like outside of America. So the big thing that I would say is go and explore the world. There's so much more to the world than just America. I've only personally been to other countries. I've only been to Canada, and that's just about as American outside of America as you'll ever get. It's like the same country, basically. But again, Paige, we cannot thank you enough for coming on. We greatly appreciate it. It's always nice to have someone from the other side of the world calling as well, and that just really proves how cool this technology is that we're able to do this. Do you have anyone that you'd like to give a shout-out to before we wrap it up here?
No, just a shout out to everybody else that's competing this weekend. Good luck. May the best physique win. Yeah. But yeah, also just thanks so much for having me. Oh. It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the time this will probably get uploaded, the competition will be over, and I'll make sure to let you guys know how Paige did. And we wish you nothing but the best. Obviously, you look great. We love the tan. And by the way, thanks for coming on with the tan on. That we really appreciate that, because I really think for people to finally see like what that actually looks like who don't follow bodybuilding, it's really, really cool. So I know it took a lot of guts to come on and do this with the tanning on, and we really, really appreciate that.
No problem at all.
All right. So this is DD on the spot, Ryan Johnson signing. Oh, yeah, by the way, I'll leave all the links down below for you to follow Paige on Instagram. Following her page will inspire you to get off the couch and stop eating those Twinkies and adapting a more healthy lifestyle. She's really a great inspiration. And yeah, that'll wrap it up here. So this is DD on the spot, Ryan Johnson signing out. Have a great day, everyone.